Hello, and welcome to The Feed. I'm Rick Rudder. Juniper recently announced an initiative to advance artificial intelligence, machine learning, intelligent multipath routing, and quantum communications. Today, I have Raj Yavatkar, Juniper's CTO, to tell us why this is so important. Raj, how would you describe today's networking environment and how it will evolve?
So I think that today's networking environment I see is impacted by three main factors. One is that the 5G infrastructure is very different than previous mobile networking. It really brings together very high capacity, high bandwidth, and ultra low latency, so that the 5G networks start becoming the heart of the internet, because that's where the consumers are. Enterprises are using private 5G networks. Second factor is the metro is becoming the new place where all the action comes, because of fixed wireless, convergence of wireless and wired networks, 5G aggregation points. So suddenly you see metro is a place going to a very distributed architecture with hundreds of mini edge clouds acting as aggregation points, feeding into a massively scalable IP fabric. And third factor is hyperscalers are expanding their reach of their networking closer and closer to the enterprises and consumers by expanding local zones. All these three environments are also impacted by amount of data available from the network itself, amount of telemetry data available. That is very useful for operators to be able to start taking advantage of the data to make something interesting happen.
That's really interesting. So what are some of the experiences or applications that operators need to be ready for in the future?
So first one is because of 5G, the metaverse. Metaverse is a new phenomena which takes augmented reality, virtual reality to a completely new level. And that's happening. It's going to happen. That requires a very different type of experience. It's with respect to latency, high bandwidth, and so on. Of course, there are other applications that are coming up, such as automated driving, very smart IoT, and so on. So that's one set of experiences. The second experience people are expecting to see is that how does network become more sustainable? We need to operate networks for energy efficiency, not just for the peak operating capacity. Today, the network operators tend to operate the network and provision them for peak capacity, which is not used all the time. The third kind of experience is, as the hyperscalers are delivering more services, how do operators make sure they're part of that ecosystem and start offering services, monetizable services that let consumers as well as enterprises take advantage of multiple clouds and services available.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, AI is real, and it really does help manage network operations. And complexity is growing as we move into the cloud era. So what do you think is next in terms of like next level AI and ML, and how do you think it will help assist our network managers in the future?
So I think we can't stop by just doing AI ML operated networks. Operations are important. They are getting automated using AI ML. But the next step is to look at it from the network lifecycle perspective. How do I plan capacity? How do I design networks and optimize that design constantly by using a virtuous feedback cycle? Feed the data to the AI ML engines. They give you back insights, use them to optimize the network. And as I said earlier, there's a lot more focus on sustainability, which means we have to use AI ML to decide how do I optimize the operation of the network for energy efficiency. An example, radios consume a lot of power in mobile networks, but we could power down radios by sometimes transferring traffic from one base station to another and combining the traffic so that the power consumption goes down. So same thing with the transport and core networks that are powered by Juniper networks. You can decide that when you have multi-path routing, how do I use multiple paths? So some paths can be shut down for some time to save energy when we are not operating at the peak capacity. So there are lots of opportunities for taking AI ML based optimization experience to the next level.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm super excited for the future of that. Now, one of the areas I'm not as familiar with is quantum networking. Right. Can you tell us a little bit more what this is and why it's going to be critical to the future of networking?
Sure. So I think the quantum computing is happening. There are companies now producing quantum computers, delivering qubits. If you're a Star Trek fan, we all grew up knowing about quantum teleportation, right? Star Trek showed you how you can teleport. In reality, information sciences uses the quantum teleportation to be able to transfer information over a quantum network. How does that work? You take the photons or qubits and if you decouple them over larger distances to transfer the information. One application of that is a key distribution. In security applications, when you have two parties communicating securely, exchanging keys is a big complex problem, which is subject to man-in-the-middle attack. With quantum teleportation, now you can do quantum key distribution. You distribute keys from sender to receiver in a way that if anybody intercepts, the key changes. So the receiver knows that it has been compromised and you can redo the quantum exchange. So we are now funding research in universities as well as internally for quantum key distribution as next level of quantum cryptography.
Well, Raj, thank you so much for joining us today and for the investments Juniper is making in our future. I hope you'll be back soon to give us an update on what's happening. And to everybody out there, while you're on the feed, please take some time to soak up some of the industry news and knowledge. I dare you. Thank you.
Thank you.